In this video, we're going to go over some e-bike locks and maybe even a recommendation. Locking your e-bike, it's a chore. And the alternative is being robbed. And yet in this day and age, it still happens all the time. People still get married. So I'm going to narrow this down to only a few locks. And starting off with the ULock, I cannot recommend this simply because it's not designed for these types of electric bikes and their frames. Where are you going to mount it to? ULocks can work well with conventional bicycles, but for e-bikes that are this type of style, like many of them, it's just not going to work out. Another style of lock is this thing right here. It's one of these folding types of locks, and this thing is great in that it is extremely portable. But check this out right here. You cannot just pry this thing right here. It's not as easy to pry as it looks, and a bolt cutter is not going to go through this. However, we're going to take a saw to it in a little bit. Another issue is that the size. If you're on a big pole like this, you see this big gap right here, you don't have much space for an e-bike. That's it. It doesn't, you can't make any more space, so you have to put the frame right up here, and you can forget about locking two bikes, but even one, it might be too tight right here. It's not that big. Granted, you may not be around big, long, thick poles. That might not be an issue for you. This thing is 9 millimeters thick. It is alloy hardened steel. It is anti-cut, anti-smash, anti-saw, and it costs only $12. So when it comes to these items, the price may fluctuate. It might go up if they become too popular. And I am an Amazon affiliate. Just get the cheapest one you can. Don't worry about my starving children. They'll be fine. Next up is my favorite method, and it is chain, because these are not easy to break. They're not easy to get a wire cutter through. But this one, it is just too weak. This one, on the other hand, well, it's about as strong as you can get a manganese cable, anti-cut, anti-saw, anti-smash. This one is made by kryptonite, and it costs, a lot of money, okay? But it is too big, too heavy, too expensive for most people. So I got the cheapest manganese chain on Amazon. This thing cost me a whopping $13. This is 12 millimeters thick. However, it is not a kryptonite. So what's the difference? This is the difference right here. The weld quality is just not there. However, you're still gonna have two cuts just to get free of this. On top of that, you cannot get it in the smaller size. It comes in 4 feet, and it doesn't come with a lock. However, this thing is humongous. It's too big, but it is humongous. Strapping a bike is no problem right this way. And let's say you have 2 bicycles. It has a bigger ring that you can feed through and make a noose. Check that out. So now you can feed this through one bicycle and then lock it on another bicycle. All right, it's fed through one bicycle, and for the sake of demonstration, you lock it to the other bicycle. Okay, it's just that simple. There's other creative ways you can do this, just like feeding it through this spoke. Lock it to the spoke itself. There you go. And it's locked. It's not going anywhere. There you go. You've got 2 bikes locked up. So now it's time to try to break the locks. Okay, so this thing can resist anti-cut, anti-smash, anti-drill. Well, I made that up. Let's just see if it can handle a smash. This is a hammer. I think most of these have access to a hammer. All right, So on the first smash, the bottom popped out, but it's still here. I think it's slightly bent, but yeah, it retained it. Let's see if I can open this still. Yeah, so even being smashed, it's not a problem. You can still release your bike. So far, so good. All right, so smashing it didn't work. Prying this apart because it's awkward too. This thing, the movement is so awkward. Okay, so if I get it in here like this, okay, so you put it there, you try the best to close it, and then you have a pry. See, you could try to pry it either outwards. It's working itself out, as you can see right here, but it's not as easy as it looks. So I'm gonna see if I can pry it all the way. Just give me, if I had more experience being a thief. Oh boy, I just can't. Well, it's possible that you pry it, but not very, not very probable. This thing is tough. Okay, next step, well, the finalizer is to cut it through. All right, that felt like forever, but I mean, eventually it got through. So once you get through, just, you only have to get through one side and you're good. But that did take a very long time, and I don't think anybody's gonna want to sit there and cut through this. I guess if they want the bike bad enough, they would. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is that I'm going to attack this link first, the weak link right now, right here, just to see how long it takes to break, you know, compared to like the kryptonite, all right? This chain is squirrely and it is hard to cut. It moves around. If you keep it off the ground, it's probably impossible to cut. One side done. So it looked like the flaw in the welding, it made no difference. Because the cut, you see the cut is so big that the flaw, it makes no difference, and the cut's not big enough. I can't really fit the chain through, so I have to cut the other side. There's just no choice. And a message to all the thieves out there: be sure to wear shoes, because those sparks, they really hurt as heck. All right, it's time for the kryptonite chain. I'm just taking out one link just to see how long it takes. Okay, this is not fair at all, because I'm trying to grab an outside link and this thing just keeps on moving around on you. Okay, one link. Okay, one side. And for the other side. So what did we learn today? Well, wear shoes if you're a thief. These bendy locks, they work particularly well. They're lightweight, they're compact, and they're not really 9mm. It's not as thick as it claims. And compared to the kryptonite, which is 10mm, which I miscalculated. I thought it was thicker. The big Lufu, this is clearly 12mm. I mean, compare the thickness right here. It's hard to see because it's just so small. So you have 1 versus 2 versus 5 minutes of grinding. To be fair, you have to grind through any of these methods to get through, and that in itself, the fact that you're grinding at all, that probably deters like 80% of thieves out there. So ideally, I would recommend a 12mm thick chain with cinch or noose setup, 2 to 3 feet in length, and a lock of your own. I do want to mention that you probably don't want to go thicker than 12mm because it's just too big. This 12mm right here, it can get through a small handle. This is the Electric XP Lite. It has a particularly small handle, and other e-bikes, they typically have bigger ones, but you want to be able to get this through at least somewhere that can secure the bike that is thin enough to get through. You know what I mean? Because a thick chain, it's too thick, it just won't work out, and it's going to be a lot heavier. A similar off-the-shelf item that you can get is this New York Cinch ring chain 1275. It's manganese steel. It is 2.5 feet. It weighs 7 pounds. And you can find it on Amazon for $107. Alternatively, if you grab this Brinks mini U-bar lock, which is 3 7/8 inch wide, or this master lock, and then you combine it with this big Lufu motorcycle chain lock, 12mm thick chain, then for as little as $32.36, you have the security that gets you similar to a 9 out of 10 rating by Kryptonite. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. See you in the next one. Take care.